Next topic in dynamic programming. The next topic in dynamic programming is nothing but you are going to see the Warshall and Floyd's algorithm. Okay, so when you say it as the Warshall or Floyd's algorithm, how we are going to do is it is based on the graph which you have. So here we are going to see the Warshall and Floyd's algorithm, which says that you have to first we will see the Warshall algorithm where it is used for computing the transitive closure of a directed graph. Okay, so when you say it as the directed graph, what you are going to do here is you will be having an adjacency matrix where it is of a directed graph, and you will be having a Boolean matrix that has one in its ith row and jth column if and only if there is a directed edge from the ith vertex to jth vertex. So the transitive closure of the directed graph, which is having n vertices, can be defined as the n by n Boolean matrix. So in which the element in the ith row and the jth column is 1 if there exists a non-trivial directed path. What do you mean by non-trivial directed path? It is an indirect path of positive length. So from the ith vertex to the jth vertex, you will be having a 1 if it's having an indirect path. Otherwise, your value of Tij will be 0. So here we are going to see how to generate the transitive closure. So the transitive closure from the adjacency matrix is a direct one which you are taking it from the given graph. It is a Boolean matrix. It will be having value as 0 if there doesn't exist an edge. If there doesn't exist an edge, we will be taking the value as 0. So we will be generating it, as I told you, the dynamic programming. It is a recurrence relation where you will be going step-by-step process. So initially the adjacency matrix, whatever you are having it is considered to be R0. So next we will be going each stages. So here you will be having the values as R1, R2, etc. up to Rn. So initially when you start with, you will be starting with R0, which will not allow any of the intermediate vertices in its paths. Now, supposing if you go with R1, you will be taking the first vertex as the intermediate. So what will happen in the last stage? In the nth stage, if you see, you will be considering all the n vertices as the intermediate vertices, and you will be getting a transitive closure. So Rk is going to be computed from its immediate predecessor. Any stage, if you go to the kth stage, it will be depending upon k minus 1th stage. So if you have the element in the ith row and jth column of a matrix, what you will be doing is, it says that it will be equal to 1. So here, whenever you go for a matrix, you can see that it will be depending upon all the predecessors. When you go for the matrices will be depending upon the predecessors. So here, as and when we are seeing it, we will be knowing it for each and every stages. The stage will be depending upon the previous value. So you will be taking it, supposing you have the value to be computed, it will be saying that if you have a path from Vi to Vj, so Vk will be acting as the intermediate vertex. So you will be having a list of intermediate vertices which are not numbered higher than k in any kth stage. So there are two possibilities. What are the two possibilities? First is, if there is a list, the intermediate vertex does not contain the kth vertex. So the path from Vi to Vj has vertices not higher than k minus 1. and therefore your Rij of k minus 1 is equal to 1. The second is that path does contain the kth vertex among the intermediate vertices Vk occurs only once in the list. So from Vi we are moving to Vj considering all the vertices numbered less than or equal to higher k minus 1. So second part says that if there exists a path from Vk to Vj with each intermediate not higher than k, then Rkj of k minus 1 is equal to 1. Rij of k equal to 1, then either Rij of k minus 1, that is your previous matrix value should be 1, or by taking the intermediate vertex Rik and Kj, both should be equal to 1 in the previous matrix. Okay. For example, if you want to go from A to C, B act as the intermediate vertex means you have to see A to B, there should be a path, and B to C also there should be a path. So we are using the Boolean operation because the values are given as Boolean values. We know, we have already seen in your first semester or in school days, you would have used the Boolean operations and or operations. If any one is 1, the value will be equal to 1. But for an AND operation, when you use the intermediate vertex, we say that if both Rik of k minus 1 and Rkj of k minus 1, if both are equal to 1, then only the resultant value will be 1. And if this value is 1 and if this value is 0 also, 0 or 1 gives you 1. 1 or 1 gives 1. 1 or 1, it gives 1. Okay. 0 or 1, 1 or 0, or 1 or 1, it gives 1. But whereas here, only when 1 and 1 is there, then the output will be 1. So this you should keep it in mind. You should know this basic things. Okay, so here you are getting a formula which will be yielding the Warshall's algorithm, which implies that if an element Rij is 1, for example, if your value of Kj is equal to 1, in the next matrix also Kj is 1. That is Rk is depending upon Rk minus 1. So if Rj is 1 in Rk minus 1, it remains 1 in Rk. But if an element Rij is 0, see here ith row, jth column, the value is 0. Then you have to see whether your Ik is 1 and Kj is equal to 1. Here you can see Ik as well as Kj, both are equal to 1. So your Ij of, you can see that the Ij of our kth matrix is equal to 1. Only if though both are equal to 1, you are getting it as 1. If any one is equal to 0 also, you will not get it. So this is how we need to go with it. So by keeping this, by remembering this formula, we need to write an algorithm. How will you write an algorithm? First, your input is your adjacency matrix, that is your R0. So now you need to, if there are 3 vertex, then you have to have a 3 by 3 matrix, R1, R2, R3. So for k equal to 1 to n, I equal to 1 to n, j equal to 1 to n, you are saying that Rk of ij is Rk of k minus 1 comma ij, or Rk minus 1 Ik and Rk minus 1 kj. So this, when you complete it 3 times, j equal to 1 to n, I equal to 1 to n, k equal to 1 to n, all the 3 loops, when you complete, you will be returning with Rn. That is your transitive closure. So the time taken will be also n cube. How it is n cube? Because we say that whenever you go for this type, you will be taking it as use the lower bound upper bound formula and find out what is the time taken. The time taken for the lower bound and upper bound we have to see, and we will be evaluating it. So here, when you see the values, you will get to know that the time taken for calculating these 3 loops. Okay, it will be of n into n, which is equal to n cube. So by using applying upper bound, lower bound formula, we are getting to know what is the time taken for this particular Warshall algorithm. Okay, so now we will try to solve a problem. So when you take the problem, what you can see is here there is a graph. In either you will be given with a graph, you can find out the adjacency matrix, or the adjacency matrix will be given directly. So here from the graph, we are taking the adjacency matrix, that is R0. A to B, there exists an edge, so it is 1. B to D, there exists an edge, there is 1. D to C, there exists an edge, 1. Then D to A also there exists an edge, so it is 1. So now R1 will be depending upon R0. So now initially whatever values you have as 1, you can write it as it is. For the remaining things, you need to calculate it. And here, the ones reflect the existence of path with no intermediate vertices. So this box, row and column. So this first row, first column will not change. The existence of these values will give you the ones in R1. Okay, next R2 is constructed by keeping in mind that the second vertex is the intermediate vertex. So your second row, second column will not change, all the other values will change. So like this, you need to find out each and every vertices. Okay, so here when you go with the vertex, how to calculate it. So here initially you take all the ones, because ones are not going to change. You need to find out only for the values which are given as zeros. Okay, now you know what is the formula for finding 1 comma 1 or wij of k. wij of k, that is w1, will be depending upon the values of w0. So wij of k will be depending upon the previous matrix, that is wij k minus 1 or wik k minus 1 and wkj k minus 1. So here k is nothing but the intermediate, which is equal to 1. So we are calculating the value of 1 comma 1. 1 comma 1 is, it is depending, it is seeing what is the value of 1 comma 1. It is in the previous value, it is 0. But now 1 is acting as the intermediate vertex. So you are saying 1 comma 1 and it is 1 comma 1. So it's 0. So it is 0. Next 1 comma 2. 1 comma 1 and 1 comma 2. Again it is 0. So for all the first rows, it is 0. So now if you see the second row also, it is the same. We are calculating third row, fourth row, etc. Okay, where 1 is acting as the intermediate vertices and there is no edge. Now, supposing if you go forward, next you will be calculating the value of W2. W2, again you write all the values. Now k is equal to 2. You just use this formula, calculate all the values. Now see W44, if you are taking it, how it is going to change is, it will be taking it as W14 or it will be taking it as W42, because 2 is acting as the intermediate vertices. It is depending upon the previous matrix. So it is 1 and W4 2 of 1, and you will be saying 2 4 of 1. What is 4 2 of 1 in the previous one? 4 is 0, or W4 2 of 1 in the previous one is, it is 0. And what is W24 24 is also 0. So 0, and you will be saying it as 0 and 0, it is 0. So your W24 is also 0. Okay, so this is how we do for W2, keeping in mind 2 as the intermediate vertex. Okay, now we need to find out what is the value for W of 3. W of 3 also we just take, while you are taking it, we will be seeing it as what is W24. If you want to calculate it, what you will do, you will be seeing the previous matrix. What is previous matrix? W24 of 2, or you are saying 3 as the intermediate. So W23 of 2 and W34 of 2. Now, what is W24 of 2 in the previous matrix? It is 0. So you will be taking it as 0. Or now, what is W23 of 2? 23 of 2 is 1. And what is W3, 4 of 1, 3, 4 of 1? Here it is 1. So we will be taking it as 1. So what is 1 and 1? 1 and 1 is 1. So 0 or 1 is 1. So you are getting a new value here. Have you understood? So like this, similarly, you need to calculate for everything and find out what is the value. Same manner, you will come here. You are given with a power. Here you are given with a graph. So we have taken directly. Now what is R1? R1 is nothing but you just copy down all the ones as it is. So we will be seeing for here for dB. What is dB? A is acting as intermediate vertex. So what is D to A and what is A to B? D to A is 1, A to B is also 1. So 1 and 1 is 1. So there is only one change. Now B is acting as an intermediate vertex. You copy this, now you have to discard this. You will be considering this vertex. So this matrix. So you copy the ones as it is. Now if you see for A to D, you'll just take for A to D. Now when you go for A to D, how you will be taking it? B is acting as an intermediate vertex. So A to B and B to D. What is A to B? A to B is 1, B to D is 1. 1 and 1 is 1. So A to D becomes 1. Now consider D to D. In D to D, again B is acting, this is in R2, so D is acting as an intermediate vertex. So D to D already it is 0. So how to change it to 1? We will be seeing that whether there exists an indirect one. Indirect one, B is acting as an intermediate vertex. So we will be seeing what is the value of D to B? It is 1. And B to D, it is 1. 1 and 1, it is 1. Previously our matrix value was ij, direct it is D to D, it's 0. 0 or 1, it will become 1. That is your R2. Next, when you go for next matrix R3, R3 will be depending upon R2. Copy down the ones as it is. Okay, and your second third row, third column will not change. C acts as the intermediate vertex. Try to get all the values. Next, come for R4. R4, fourth vertex acts as the intermediate vertex. So here you will be copying down all the ones as it is. Now just to check for A to A. A to A, what is acting as intermediate vertex? D is acting as the intermediate vertex. So you have to see what is A to D and D to A. A to D is 1, D to A is 1. So 1 and 1 is 1. So it is reflected. Now A to C. Again, A to D is 1 and D to C is 1. 1 and 1, again it becomes 1. So here you are getting a new change. Same thing for B to A. B to A, B to D, B to D is 1, D to A, D to A is also 1. So 1 and 1, it is 1. B to B, B to D is 1, D to B is also 1. So 1 and 1, it is 1. B to C, B to D is 1, D to C is 1. 1 and 1, it is 1. Okay, whereas now you consider this row, that is the third row. Third row, you can see that for C to A, D is acting as the intermediate vertex. So what is C to D? C to D is 0. So if you go for the next value also, it will be 0 only, it will not be changed. Okay, because there is no intermediate vertex. So you can, from this graph itself, you can see that A to B, there exists an edge. A to D also there exists an edge through the intermediate vertex B. Similarly, if you take A to C also, there exists a path with the intermediate. So here we have covered everything, A to B, A to C, A to D. But now you take B. B to D is there, direct. We have it is direct. B to A is also there because it goes through D. B to B is also there. So B to C is also there. So for B also all the vertices are, the edges are there, direct as well as indirect. So it has become 1. Now come back to D. For D, D to A is there, D to A, B in through A is there, D to C is also there, direct is there. D to D also there is a cycle. So all the values are 1. But whereas when you take C, from C there is no outgoing edges, not even 1. If there was 1, at least then we can use that as the intermediate and we will be getting it. But from C, there is no outgoing edge. So all the values from C flowing towards to all the vertices, it's considered to be 0. Okay. So whenever you have a problem like this, to find out the Floyd's algorithm, you just see how it can be done with the help of the intermediate vertex. You utilize this algorithm. The algorithm is considered to be an efficient algorithm for finding out the Warshall algorithm. And this algorithm is obtained by using the recurrence relation. Recurrence relation, we know we need the initial condition. So the initial condition is nothing but the initial value, that is your adjacency matrix, which is directly taken from the graph. If you will be given with a graph, from the graph you draw the adjacency matrix. What is the adjacency matrix? It's a Boolean values. Boolean matrices which consist of zeros and ones. If there exists a direct edge, then the value will be 1. If there doesn't exist an edge, the value will be 0. By using the intermediate vertices as 1, 2, 3, 4 for each stages, you will be able to get the R4 value. R4 value is, this is nothing but it is called as the transitive closure. So transitive closure at any point of time, if you see, the transitive closure can be obtained by using any of this method. So dynamic programming acts as an efficient algorithm for finding out the Warshall algorithm. So the Warshall algorithm can be applicable or it is implied if an element Rij is 1 in Rk minus 1, it remains 1 in Rk also. That's what we have seen here. See here, when it is R1, AB is equal to 1, in R2 also AB of 1 is retained as it is. But if there doesn't exist an algorithm, if an element Rij is 0 in Rk minus 1, then it has to be changed to 1 in Rk. Only if and only if it's ith row I and column k and the element in column j and row k are both ones in Rk minus 1. So we are getting it by using the recurrence relation. So this is how you need to find out, and the time complexity also determined based on that. So here we are seeing the dynamic programming method. In dynamic programming, you have to um, say what is the Warshall algorithm, what is the definition for the adjacency matrix, what is the definition for the transitive closure, how you achieve this formula. The formula is achieved based on the possibilities which is being given, and from this formula we are finding out the writing the algorithm. For the algorithm, we have to find out the time complexity. Time complexity is, there are 3 loops, so we will be getting the time complexity based on the summation formula, where you will be using the upper bound and the lower bound formula to get the exact value of the so given a graph, this is your adjacency matrix, this is your transitive closure, and we have also seen how to get the step by step values for the adjacency matrix. Okay, so when you go for dynamic programming, this is to obtain the transitive closure. You have the Warshall algorithm, and there is one more which is called all pair shortest path, which is used for finding the shortest path for the Floyd's algorithm. Okay, so if any graph given, you see it's a directed graph. If the graph is given directly, you construct the adjacency matrix from the directed graph itself. So when you see to that, you are using a Boolean matrix where the values will be zeros and ones. So based on this, you can construct it. Based on the formula, you will be able to construct the Warshall's algorithm. Okay. The next is the all pair shortest path. We are using the same procedure, same recurrence relations will be used. There also we are going to use the intermediate vertices, and we will be finding out the Floyd's algorithm also. So that's all for the Warshall's algorithm. In the next class, we will see how to generate the Floyd's algorithm. Always keep in mind when you go for the recurrence relations, you see to that you are using the previous matrices for finding the value.